Hello, ladies and gentle hosts. Okay, so, per usual, I've been gone for a while. In my defense, I've still been having chest surgeries, and yeah. And I have school and whatnot. But anyways, this time I tried to organize my thoughts before I made this video, but I suck at that, as we all know, and I wrote down like a couple like keywords to just remember what I want to talk about, but I didn't take notes. But anyways, I'm going to start probably talking more towards people who have borderline before I get to those in support of somebody with borderline. And I'm talking about our authentic self, or loss of that, because to me that's probably the most important part of borderline. When you honestly get on the road to recovery, which is probably going to be many times, that's the thing, is you can't beat yourself up, because borderlines. Did I ever show you guys my new kitty? Okay, so we can't exactly stick to things, and it takes a while, and I do it myself, but at the same time, I'm a fuck of a lot better than I used to be. I'm 25, and realistically, borderline won't surface until young adulthood, so it's been a really hard road because it was all the beginning, and now I think I don't want anyone to think like I'm so far ahead for some reason because I just get it, but it took me a long time to stop hating myself and thinking I was this textbook case monster. It takes a lot of forgiving yourself, and God, I've learned so much about myself that I actually kind of like borderline in some ways because I'm really fucking passionate and whatever. But anyways, I want to take, like, for instance, this tattoo, which I am actually changing a bit of, but it's supposed to symbolize, this is a little girl. It's kind of like an inner child monologue, where she has giant speakers. Alice is unplugging them because Alice wanted to escape Wonderland, but Peter Pan, who doesn't want to have feelings, Peter Pan is like a poster child for borderline. He doesn't want to have feelings, he doesn't want to grow up. He can't grow up because he's emotionally stunted. But anyways, she's supposed to be screaming, basically showing we react out of emotion, because our emotional maturity didn't exactly have a chance to progress, because borderline is started at such a young age that we lose our authentic self in different ways. I don't want to label it per se, because everybody's can be caused from different things. Some kids could have had sexual abuse, some could have had physical abuse, some could have just had emotional abuse, some could have lost a parent, some could have lost a family member. There's so many reasons for being traumatized as a child and emotionally stunted. So I think maybe if I share a little of my story, this video might make more sense. So, for instance, I probably would have been fucked up anyways because my brother got murdered, and shortly after, when my father flew out to the trials, my mom decided on divorce, so she took me and my brother away for when he returned, and then he kind of just, once he was kicked out of the house, he just stopped coming to pick me up anymore. And so my mom eventually just moved me away because I was having a hard time with it, I guess. And I mean, that's where I went down the shitter for sure. I was maybe 11 or 12, and I hated my mom. I wanted nothing to do with her. But either way, I had my father's abandonment, which was a big deal because I was really close to him. However, I would have had it anyways because I'm 1,000,000% sure that my mother has borderline caused by her mother. Borderline can also be caused just simply by a parent, because when they are raised borderline and they don't take care of it, what they do is they emotionally stunt you because they don't know how to deal with your emotions, so they won't. And for instance, my childhood, any emotion just wasn't okay. If I was excited, I was obnoxious. If I was hurt, and I would be like, I couldn't cry in front of people. I still have, like, I can't cry in front of basically anybody unless, like, I'm super close to them or wasted. And if I was angry, God forbid, nope, couldn't be angry, like, wasn't allowed. I was always in my room. That was it. Like, I lived in my room, whether it was because it was time out or because I was just alone all the time. Like, I was just basically left emotionally bleeding because I was never taught how to deal with any feelings. So anyways, that is where I was emotionally stunted, because I was already filled with so much pain and neglect and abandonment and all these things at such a little tiny age. And also, I didn't know what to do with it. So when you come from a childhood like that, what happens is you find defense mechanisms. You find a way to take care of yourself. But as you get older, when you come into adulthood, you're old enough to realize what you went through. You can't forget it anymore. Your conscience knows that you understand it, and it's time to feel it, pretty much, is what happens to you, I think, when you get diagnosed with borderline, is all of a sudden your shit makes sense. So I think a big part in losing your authentic self and being a borderline is, with a lot of situations, how it affects us harder when we feel rejection or abandonment or whatever, is the fact of when we were younger, we learned this helpless personal being. We learned that we got used to being helpless or the victim of something or like whatever, and we carried that with us. And so when things like that happen to us and somebody makes us feel something that we don't know how to feel, like anything, if anything makes me panic in a relationship and I feel insecure or suddenly shut down by them, or like they're just different, I take it differently. Mine comes out as anger every time, hands down, which is a defense mechanism. Also, when I get really upset and I'm either hurt or want to cry, then I'll usually laugh, especially sarcastically and rudely, when in reality I just want to probably cry. So we grow with that. We lash out. We're helpless. We're victimized. That is just a huge thing that I think comes from the lack of your authentic self, because when it comes to recovery, you end up learning how to, they call it reparenting yourself, but you learn how to deal with, I think at some point you have to understand that you're not where you came from. My cat's eating me. You're not where you came from. You're not what happened to you. You're not who treated you in a certain way. You're not where you came from. But you're who you are today, and who you are today is acknowledging that something in you wants to be a better version of yourself. Because if you're watching this video, you want to be a better version of yourself, and that's good. But one thing you need to know is you can love who you are today. You don't need to wait until you find recovery to love yourself. You need to learn to love yourself today, because every day, even when you wake up and you're like, fuck this, like, found all these positive quotes, I'm going to post that shit on my Instagram, like, blah, blah, blah. I do that, and I love that about me. I love that I not only write things, but I find things that others write, and I find creativity in them, and I love seeing passion in people, and I love that about me. And I love when I wake up and I listen to John Lennon or, like, something awesome, and I'm like, today's going to be a good day. I love that. But don't get me wrong, that's going to happen, and those times are going to pass, and just some days you're going to wake up and feel whatever emptiness came from somebody in your childhood, and you're not going to know why you hurt so bad. And you need to accept that that's not just because you're borderline. That's because you're alive. That's because you have a big enough heart to carry that with you. That's what that means. So you're you. And just love you. And when you're having a hard time, motherfucker, cry that out. Like, listen to your sad songs, ride it like a wave, just feel things and accept that this is what I'm feeling right now. And that's okay. And soon I'm going to be feeling something different. Like, you need to be able to do that to love yourself. And you need to love yourself because, let's be real, you have things about you that are fucking awesome. Embrace that shit, because other people can't be you, but you sure as fuck can, so you better be the best you every day and be vibrant. And people are going to be like, damn, I want to be that you, because you're great. Not, that came out wrong, but whatever. So you need to forgive yourself. Today, you're not the person that you were when you made a mistake that you hate yourself for, or that somebody else hates you for. And you can't continuously hold people's mistakes against them either. You need to, maybe if not forgive them, you need to accept, okay, this happened. And maybe sometimes there's even reasons for why it happened, but it happened. So just, I have another video on slowing down your thoughts, and when things like that happens, maybe just write it down. Write, this is how I feel, and this is what happened, this is what it makes me feel, and this is why I feel that. Like, that's what I do to slow myself down sometimes.
What do we do now?
I think that a really important part in finding yourself is you need to relive where you came from. You need to understand it, because we've worn this mask and we've just had this defense up where we just fucking hate where we came from. It was wrong. It's not our problem. It's not our fault. This is who we are now. Boom. And that's just, that needs to be broken through. Like, you need to stand up and you need to say, wow, like, I was a kid. And basically, our generation is mostly fucked. So if you think you're alone in this, newsflash. We're all full of mental illness. Like, even the people who aren't diagnosed are fucking crazy. Like, we all have our own crazy. But at least I embrace mine, because even if I didn't have borderline, I'd have something to work on, you know? So why not just work on myself anyways? But you can wake up every day and start over. We all came from somewhere, and now we're here, and that's what matters. We're here. We don't have to be our past, and we don't have to be these crazy emotions that we can't handle. And even if we lash out, then the people close to us need to know, hey, maybe not, hey, I have borderline, but hey, sometimes this is how I react to a situation like this, and this is why. And the people that know us, that care about us, and want to keep us in their lives are going to understand, and we have to take it step by step. But that's the thing, is you have to work on improving, too. You have to make a commitment to keep trying. And you're going to get discouraged, and it's going to get hard, and sometimes you're going to feel like you failed. But you just can't stop waking up again, you know? Like, some days you're going to wake up and be like, I'm done with today. I'm just gonna not get up today. I do that shit. But I usually eat some dibs, and by like 11 o'clock I actually usually get out of bed anyways, and I'm like, now I'm hyper because I just sat in bed all day. And if you can't do that, search fucking stand-up comedy on YouTube, and I guarantee you 10 minutes of whatever you find is gonna get you feeling a little better. Or listen to Michael Jackson, because he's probably going to make you dance like a lunatic, and have a little dance party in your room. Like, whatever it takes. Like, especially when you don't want to do something, do it. Set an alarm on your phone to go off in the morning with, like, the most upbeat, like, NSYNC song or something, you know? Just something to just boost you with a good vibe that reminds you every day when you wake up, today's your fucking day. You can choose to be happy, even if there's something so shitty weighing you down. That's just a something. But it's not everything. So you can choose to put everything else into perspective, and you can choose that you're going to matter today. Does that make sense? So that's to my borderlines, my fellow borderlines. Your authentic self is so important, and go find it and get to know it. I guess the way that I do mine is I try and sit alone. And I'm like, what makes me comfortable? Like, for clothes, for instance. For a while, I didn't know what the fuck style I was supposed to be. Like, And we all have problems with self-image, and I always wanted to be like one of those pretty girls and like classy and like whatever and heels and like fashionable, but I'm not comfortable and I feel awkward as fuck. So finally, I just wear what makes me feel like me. Like, you know, when you do something you just feel like yourself, you're gonna get the groove of that. It'll happen, I promise you. I literally promise you that it's hard today and it's gonna be hard later, but a lot of things that were once really hard that seemed impossible, they just look different when you grow. It just looks different. And I'm probably maybe 25% into my journey. And I know that. But I like that I'm on it. And I can't change anything about where I came from. And I can't even change, like my mom, for instance, sometimes when I just want her to just listen to what I think played her part in whatever. I don't have to do that. And I've come to terms with that. That I can love who she is today, and I can separate myself from all the grudges I held. I can be me today, because that's all I have to do is wake up and be me. And I personally have acquired this new thing where I want to help people be happy. I want to be a good friend so that I can have a good friend, you know? And then for people supporting borderlines with their authentic self, I mean, I guess you could probably just hear what I just said and just try and be really sensitive to that. Because when you get changed like this as a child, you don't understand it when you become an adult because it doesn't apply to you anymore. But it still applies to places you didn't grow in the age you needed to grow, and it's really hard to do that when you pass that deadline. But if somebody does know that there's something not right, it's going to take a lot, especially in the beginning of recovery. The biggest thing I think, at least I'm known for, is lashing out. But the thing I always need most is somebody that understands me and that knows when I'm lashing out and why. The real reason behind it. Like, okay, yeah, you say this, but what you really want is you're frustrated right now and you need me to help figure out the situation with you. And somebody that can just work through something. A big part of finding your authentic self is you have to stop expecting things from people. Back to like the helplessness and the victimized part of you, you'll eventually, when you're finding your authentic self, come to this part where you stop needing something from somebody else. And that's where you can find your solitude, because sometimes you need somebody to overexpress what they feel for you, or to fight for you, or whatever. That's what we do sometimes in certain relationships. We demand somebody to prove something to us or whatever, but when we realize that that's a flaw in us and can be fixed by learning to soothe our own emotions, we'll have such better communication and whatnot. When you can look inside yourself and understand that you do certain things, it's so much easier to just get that weight off you so that you can communicate with the people you care about. And I'm here to help you with any of that. Always. I'll end this video now because it's almost 20 minutes, but always questions, comments, send them my way, and I will have another video coming probably, maybe not tomorrow because I have stuff to do. I'm not going to say not tomorrow because I'm sporadic, but coming very soon. So, adios.